Hello everyone, my name is Reina DeJute and this is my technical demonstration for Module 15. This module was a bit different from the others. Instead of building a new feature or application, the whole focus was DevOps, quality, tooling, and operations. So in this video, I'm going to walk through 3 things that I worked on. First, auditing the CodeBlogs app with Lighthouse. Second, the refactor I did to the login and home pages and how it improved our metrics. And third, the automated browser testing I set up with Selenium. A lot of this was new to me coming into this module, so I'll explain not just what I did, but how I approached learning it. So first, let's start off with Lighthouse. Lighthouse is an auditing tool built into Chrome's developer tools. It scores a page in 4 areas: performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO, and it tells you exactly what is hurting each score. I ran it on the login page and on the home page, refactored them based on what it found, and then ran it again to measure the improvement. Rather than click through the raw reports, I put my findings into 2 professional comparison documents the way I'd actually hand results to a senior developer. So let's walk through them together. This first document compares version 1 before my refactor, which is the light gray and the light purple, against version 2, which is what happened after the refactoring. So right at the top, you can see the before and after scores for both pages. For the login page, the performance went from a 38 to an 83, SEO from an 83 to a perfect 100, and then the accessibility and best practices were already at 100, so there was no changes here. For the home page, performance went from a 64 to a 79, and SEO again reached 100. Then further down in the document, we break down the comparisons by category. These bars show the jump from page 1, from version 1 to version 2, and then the gauges show our final scores. There is one thing I'll be transparent on in this as we keep going, which is called out right here in the document. My login page version 1 audit was originally captured in mobile mode while everything else was on the desktop. This was my first time using Lighthouse, so I didn't pay very much attention to the mode that I was in before I ran the test, and then I refactored before I had a chance to run the login page version 1 in desktop mode. So that is something that I admitted right here, but we still improved the metrics. The reason that's important to note is because part of the performance jump reflects the device difference as well as the refactor. The cleanest, fully like-for-like result is actually the home page, which I audited desktop to desktop both times, and it's still improved by 15 points. I included that note deliberately because I'd rather present honest numbers than overstate the result. So let me show you what actually caused these improvements in the code. So right now we are on animatedbackground.jsx. The biggest issue Lighthouse flagged was the animated background that we had in the first version. The original used a library called Lottie that loaded a file over half of a megabyte, plus the library itself, and it took several seconds just to evaluate before the page felt usable. I replaced it with a version built purely from CSS, so it's got a similar visual but with almost none of the loading cost because the browser handles CSS animation natively. That one change carried most of the performance gain, and I kept the page's look. I just refactored how it was built and didn't remove anything. The SEO improvements were smaller but very targeted, and if we look in index.html, Lighthouse flagged a missing meta description and invalid robots file, so we added both here. As you can see, this meta charset, just this little change right here, in a couple of different places took the SEO all the way up to 100. The principle I followed was that every change had to trace back to a specific Lighthouse recommendation, so there was nothing speculative about my refactoring. This second document benchmarks CodeBlogs against an external website, a real competitor. It's an open source blogging platform called Ghost. Across the 8 category matchups, my refactored pages beat Ghost in 7 and tied in 1 and lost none. The only place Ghost edges me out is performance because of its login page, which is an extremely lightweight static form. On the homepage, which is the more representative comparison, CodeBlogs, which is this green, scores higher than Ghost in all 4 categories. I think being able to say exactly where we win and where we don't is more useful to a senior than just claiming that I beat them everywhere. And one more thing to note about these reports, I ran these audits against the development server. So a few performance warnings, things like unminified code are side effects of dev mode, not problems with the code itself. A production build clears these automatically. I chose to document them rather than chasing warnings that I couldn't fix in the environment. The last part of this project is Selenium. So Selenium IDE is a tool for automated browser testing. Instead of clicking through the site by hand every time to check that it works, you record or script the actions once and then you can replay them. The requirement was a suite of 10 tests across 5 categories. You can see them all running here: navigation across all the pages, the login and registration forms, validation on bad input, responsive layout at different screen sizes, and repetitive actions like login, log out, liking a post, creating a post, and updating and deleting a user. I'll be honest that this was the most challenging part of the module for me. I learned a lot from these problems I hit, and I'll go deeper on one of those in the concepts video, but the end result is a full suite of passing tests in a single file, which is what gives confidence that the core flows of the app actually work. So, in summary, I audited the app with Lighthouse, refactored the login and home pages with every change, traceable to a finding, measurably improved both pages, and built an automated test suite to verify the app's behavior. That's all I have for this week's video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.